of Gracias Come Again. Today we have an educator, a speaker, a school leader, and most importantly to me right now at the moment, the founder and principal of the New York City Hip Hop High School that's going to be opening this fall.
That's it. Yep. We opening this fall, September 2026.
Jason Reyes, welcome.
Thank you.
To
Thank you for
Gracias Come
having me.
Again.
Yes. Thank you.
Let's talk about it, man. I like to start from the beginning, even though, a lot of the times people come with an agenda and they're like, I just want to talk about, the high school that's opening. I like to get to know the person because as soon as I saw a founder, principal, I'm like, why him? I said, what led up to this moment that when, our mayor announced these schools and then we were like, we're getting a hip hop high school? How? Where? And then I saw your name and I was like, why him? Why you? In one sentence, just tell me why you.
I'm a Bronx native.
Okay.
And, I was raised in the BX hip hop culture, it was in the back of the building every summer, every day. So, that's a great question. And all I can say is number one, the divine, right? God made that happen for me. It's an honor to have this position. But also just kind of like the work that I put in as an educator in New York City Public Schools. Started out as a substitute teacher, became a math teacher, rose up the ranks, was an assistant principal, and then became a middle school principal in District 12 in the Bronx. And what I did was I really leaned into like being from the Bronx and really like hip hop as a culture, but hip hop as intellect, hip hop as pedagogy, hip hop as genius.
Jason said, listen, let me put you on. I don't earn this title right here. He's like, don't play with me. I didn't just start yesterday, but it's dope. And I love the idea. And, it was met. I work for Power 105.1, New York's #1 for hip hop and R&B. And it was met with like, what do you mean hip hop high school? Are they only going to teach hip hop? Like, don't our kids need English and math and history? Can you explain the concept of a hip hop high school?
Absolutely. And those are great questions that come from the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always happy to answer those questions.
Please, because I was puzzled. I was like, wait, because I read it's breaking, DJing, graffiti.
Yeah. So what we've done is we've taken the 5 core elements of hip hop, which are MCing, DJing, graffiti, breaking, and knowledge of self. And what we've done is we've combined those into our traditional English, math, science, social studies. So students are definitely taking ELA, math, science, and social studies, right?
Get that out the way fast.
Absolutely, right? So our school is not a performing arts school, right?
Okay.
Like we are, obviously there's a component of hip hop that leads to some performing arts, but we are going to be like a high rigorous learning institution. So what that means is when you think about emceeing, at its core, emceeing is literacy, it's persuasion, it's rhetorical devices, which all live in English language arts, right? So students are going to be immersed in English language arts through the culture, right? So we're using hip hop as the vehicle and the lens for the learning and for the engagement, right? You think about DJing. DJing is analysis, it's iteration, it's pattern recognition. All of that lives in mathematics. So what we've done is we've taken the genius that already exists in our culture and we said, no, like just like we have learned from Eurocentric educational cultures, we can take hip hop and use that as a format to teach our students.
Of course. Now, do you have people in place? Like, do you have someone running like the DJ program, someone running the MC program, the breaking? Like, who are your people? Do you have people? Is Crazy Legs involved? Like, who isn't? Tell me who's involved.
So we have some really like interesting partnerships that as we go along, we are going to be like unveiling that soon.
Okay, fine. I gotta follow the news so I can find out who's going to be involved.
But I will say at the core of so when you think about emceeing, it's the ELA teacher is going to be leading that class. So that teacher is going to be in partnership, obviously, with some artists and residencies that we'll be having. But the English teacher, that pedagogue, that teacher that has went to school to teach ELA in the high school setting, or math, or social studies, or science, they're utilizing our culture. They're utilizing graffiti for graphic arts and design, right?
So it's kind of like just being woven into, our traditional, I guess, curriculum.
Absolutely. So, you want to think of it as a rethinking of education, right? So far too often our students walk into school buildings and they don't necessarily feel or see themselves within what they're learning, right? So then what happens is students become very disconnected from the educational process. And in high school, those things lead to students dropping out early, right? we have an opportunity here to utilize the greatness of hip hop culture, the intelligence and genius that already exists as that engagement piece. And it was just on full display with me at our middle school when I did this in the middle school setting. Attendance went up, engagement went up, and above all, like, student scores went up because kids kind of felt and saw themselves more and their culture and everything that they were learning.
Whose idea was this? Who is the brains behind this idea?
So this is an ecosystem of educators throughout, since the inception of this has been in kind of like the making since Grandmaster Melly Mel did the message, right? Like, so like a lot of like our pioneers who started out this beautiful culture of hip hop have been always pushing around, like, you know, how do we get this to be like educational in nature? And then there's like thousands of educators in different spaces doing this in their classrooms, some more prominent and more known than others. But like, this is such an ecosystem that has been, like, when I was teaching my math class, I have to shut the door and kind of like make that connection, right? And there's a lot of educators that do that. But we do have, like, you know, some people that are like heavily into that space, right? So we, right now, you know, we're working very closely with Grandmaster Melly Mel and Grandmaster Kaz.
That's why
Also,
they get to see this
yes,
come to fruition.
absolutely. And Dr. Chris Emden, who is a very, very big name in the educational space. You know, so that group of people, you know, along with like New York City public schools, is really like taking the proposal, going through the process and saying, like, you know, there's a need for this in the community and like there's an appetite for it, and then actually accepting the proposal. And then at that point is where like I stepped in, I came in, they searched for a leader to lead this school, and that led to me.
You sat with Mom Downey?
No, I did not sit
Okay,
with Mom.
I didn't know if you were like, yo, this is what we're going to do right across from the man. I don't know. I just be thinking real big. I'm like, you were in his office?
No, it's a process that New York City Public Schools has. Like they receive hundreds of.
I know I have a lot of questions, but you know, when the news came out, I was just like, this is really happening?
It's happening.
And I remember Power posted about it on in their social media, and it was hundreds and hundreds of comments.
It went crazy.
Insane, because it was like, what do you mean a hip hop high school?
Yeah.
But it's fly, and I'm glad that they picked you, and you know, I'm glad that they picked a Latino. You know, I am biased, obviously, but I feel like the whole, you know, wanting to erase Latinos from hip hop and that whole, you know, conversation, and you know, just it even being a thing, for me, it gives me like soul satisfaction that it's like we have a hip hop high school here in New York, and guess who's leading it? Jason Reyes from the Bronx, Puerto Rican.
Absolutely.
For me, it just makes it all like,
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, listen,
congratulations.
Thank you, and it's an honor on many levels. Being a Bronx Boricua, right? You know, growing up in the culture, you know, I grew up in Soundview houses. So Rosedale Park is a very big, like, foundational park in hip hop history, right? So you have like Disco King Mario, and like just kind of growing up in that environment and seeing, like, you know, the abundance of beauty between like black and brown people, like creating this movement, is just like, this is the fruition of that. And it's an honor to like just be sitting here.
You were born in the Bronx?
Yeah, Jacoby Hospital.
Still there. Talk to me now. Parents, both Boricuas? Did you know your parents?
So, you know, I have a, you know, story that's similar to a lot of our young children that grow up, right? You know, so both my parents, yes, they were born in our beautiful island of Puerto Rico. But they came over here, you know, got caught up, you know, dealt with some addiction. They, you know, I lost them very early.
Oh, you lost them early. Both?
Both of them, yeah.
Oh, you're a strong man.
Oh, thank you. I have a beautiful, you know, my aunt eventually took me in, and she's no longer with us either, but she's the reason why I'm sitting here today. She did it. She's also from the island, didn't speak a lick of English.
She was like your dad or your mom's sister?
She was my dad's sister. She was my dad's sister.
She was like, ese niño es para mí. Bring him over here.
So whenever you hear me say, in every travels, when I refer to mommy, I'm talking about her.
What's her name?
Maria Figueroa.
Maria Figueroa, thank you for your work, because look what we're doing here right now, and look how you're, you know, shifting the culture, making us all proud, you know, as New Yorkers, as Latinos, Boricuas. You're right now just checking off so many boxes and making her and, you know, just all your ancestors so proud, because we could have easily fallen into, you know, addiction, crime, jail, died. Coming from the inner cities and the inner boroughs and the things that we saw, and the things that our parents experienced, we're lucky we made it.
Yeah.
I don't take that lightly. I really don't.
Absolutely. I when I think about this, I was just talking to Cheyenne in the hallway about just like what a full circle moment
Right?
it was to even be sitting in iHeartRadio studio. It's kind of like, it feels very humbling. And yeah, I recognize it's kind of like, how the divine is always working.
This moment was supposed to happen. Your life, the way it is unfolding, Jason, is the way God wrote it. Nothing is a mistake. And, sometimes we have, trauma and tragedy. I lost my father, at a very young age also. It was impactful, but sometimes I think about him and I'm like, you know what? Maybe if he would have not passed, things wouldn't have transpired the way they transpired, and I wouldn't be who I am today. I'm super proud of, everything I've accomplished and who I am. And it's like, yeah, I lost him, but how would things have been different?
Absolutely. I think about that a lot myself. I feel that at a young age, I understood the assignment. My parents struggled mightily with addiction, and I just kind of was like, I'm whatever they were, that was them, but like they created me, and I'm like their gift to the world. So I kind of took
Amen.
that as like, I'm gonna run with it. So.
And that's beautiful. Like with me, it was just like, I don't want to be who my father was.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a street person. I don't want to be an addict. I don't want to let my addictions take me. And I went the different direction. I said, I'm going to just break all these stereotypes. I'm going to not be a statistic. And it's hard as a kid. Like I went through high school without parents.
Yeah.
And I showed up every day to high school. And I say that all the time to young people. I'm like, listen, you got a mom and a dad and you over here talking about you don't want to go to school. What the fuck are you talking? I had to do my free lunch application myself. Stop your shit and go to school.
Absolutely.
Because we went through what these kids are going through now, not to take away from, the newer generation, but we really, I got to tell people all the time, we dodge crackheads walking to school.
Yeah, I mean, there's I say this a lot in education, especially working, in some of the areas that I've worked at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I call them traps, right? There's a lot of traps set up for youth, young people out in communities, especially high poverty communities that deal with things that you may not normally deal with, right? And having access to such a high quality educational experiences can really turn the tide for our students, right? So
It will.
when we think about the Bronx School of Hip Hop, right? Like this is an innovative space where kids are going to be learning at a high level, exposed to not only high levels of learning, but also really getting a better understanding of Bronx culture, right? Like hip hop culture is like Bronx culture on a global level.
Can
right?
we talk about how proud people are to be from the Bronx?
Absolutely.
Y'all throw that X up in a second. I'm like, oh, that escalated quickly.
Listen, we're proud of it. It's something. It's a New York thing, obviously, and it's a beautiful thing. Over the weekend, I was with other educators, and one of the conversations was like we all Bronx, right? That's what hip hop did. It made us all. We can all throw the X up, and because we all understand that story of resilience and this beauty coming out of that, and really just changing the world. And now having the opportunity to really change education, I'm ecstatic at what we are about to do.
That when that news broke, I feel like it was all over the world. It wasn't just a local thing. It was everywhere. Now, working with young people, how hard is it? Do you wake up every day, just feeling newly refreshed, or do you sometimes feel like, wow, this is hard? What did I get myself into? Because young people are not easy.
I've never woken up as a principal and felt like my job was my job. It feels like, and not to sound cliche, it just feels really like I'm going home every day.
That's beautiful. And that's what we want from our educators and our principals.
Yeah, when, working in the Bronx, being from the Bronx, looking at the children that remind me of my family, my friends that I grew up with, understanding some of the plights that they may have gone through, it gives you a different understanding. This work for me is very personal, right? So being an educator, the impact that you have on a child's life, is monumental. And New York City public schools, having this be a public school, like not a charter or not a private, right? Like this is New York City public schools is stepping to the plate and saying like, no, we are backing innovative schools, which to me is like, I've always went to public school, so like I'm like super excited about all of that.
You're solidified. You valid. You
Yeah.
got legacy, and you're so young that it's just like, it just puts everything into perspective. It's like you don't have to be a 50 or 60 or 70-year-old person, to do something big. Our kids could be like, yo, you know what? Principal Reyes, look at how young he is and look at the change that he's bringing about. So it's like, I commend you for what you're doing.
Thank you. And that's important, right? That's important for our children to see and feel and be in spaces that they see people that look like them, talk like them, and that are at a high level in life and doing successful things. One of the messages that I've always had for children is that they need to step into every space and own that space.
Can we talk about that? How sometimes, as Black and Latinos, we don't always feel comfortable stepping into rooms that we genuinely want to be in. And if someone's listening and, they're younger, or even if they have a child, how can they make themselves feel comfortable to just open a door and take a seat at a table?
So, I mean, my message to all, especially our young people, is like,
give it to me.
There's no other you. There's only one of you on this entire universe, right? You're a one of one. So like, you are the only child or person that when you step into a space have that perspective. No one has your perspective, so do not dim your light. So when you step into that space, you automatically add value to that space. So students need to understand, right? So sometimes they kind of like are told like, be quiet, don't talk up, right? No, the opposite should be said to students. Like, no, when you step into a space, right, there's only one of you. You the only one to have that perspective and that voice and that way of thinking. So there's so much value and beauty in that students, like, we want to bring that out of students. And that's always been my message to students.
I love that because I remember growing up, it was just like, children are to be seen, not to be heard. And I was a very, outgoing kid. I was the kid that performed at home. I was the kid that memorized songs. I would do choreographer. And my mom was just like, yo, I'm going to kill this girl. And she tried to really shut it down, everything that I wanted to do. So if I had educators like you, I feel like it wouldn't have taken me so long to really tap into my core talents, because then I went to school and it was just like, be quiet, don't talk. So mom's telling me, shut up, you're doing too much, and the teachers too. So just to know that, there's educators like you out here that no matter what our kids are being told at home about their personalities or their outgoing behavior, you're telling them tap into it.
Yeah, I mean, that to me is like hip hop at its purest form, right? Authenticity, right? Like that voice, like, don't, like, say something, like be you in a space, like, right? Like when you think about our culture, right? Like, one of the like key back in the days, remember, is like, yo, you gotta keep it real.
100.
Right? Like, that's like, be authentic,
You're a dad.
Yeah, I'm a dad. I have 2 children, beautiful children. My son, Reyes.
How old is he?
He's 21.
Okay, you got grown kids.
I got grown kids, and my daughter's 19. They both in college. Beautiful, beautiful children that are very proud of their dad.
I was just gonna ask. They be like, how do they feel about you? It's like, kids. It's like, we could be doing the most amazing things in the world, and be like, oh please, just stop. You're embarrassing me. Shut up.
Yeah, no, they definitely like they keep me on the ground, right? Like, they're like, Dad, like, you a fake celebrity.
You doing too much. That's funny.
Yeah.
We can always count on, kids and young people to really bring us down to reality. But yeah. But anyway, I know the real you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, being a father also, like, has always been something that's helped me as an educator, right? Like, I'm realizing always that these are other people's children that I'm in charge of, and their safety and the love that they need is paramount, right? Like, students need to come into school and feel like the adults in the building actually love and care for them.
That's great. Yeah. Discipline is cool, but, feeling loved and feeling accepted and feeling seen is more important than anything. How do the kids receive you? Because you look so young. I don't know if I'm just thinking like maybe my principals, they were probably your age, and I'm thinking they looked old because you look so cool and young.
I look a little younger than what I actually am, thank to God, but I mean, the children receive me. I think that my superpower as an educator is my ability to really, like, be myself and build relationships with students, right? Like, I recognize early, like my experience in school was probably the same as yours. Like, be quiet, sit up straight, pay attention, copy these notes. That might have worked for me because I was like a compliant kid, but that didn't work for my friends right there. A lot of them struggled in school, and a lot of our students struggled.
HG
Yeah.
had me going insane in school.
You know, like tapping into who a student is will 10 times be more powerful than like telling a kid to sit up straight. You know, like kids inherently have value just like all of us do, whether they're 10, whether they're 15, whether they're 9. They bring intelligence into spaces, and it's our job to not like shut that down. A lot of our kids like are like told like you have to be this way to be successful, and hip hop is like it's different. It's like no, like lean into who you are.
I love this.
You know, and that's kind of like some of like that value of like opening a school that's predicated on our culture.
This is going to be amazing. This is going to be amazing. I am so excited for this. You don't understand. I need to come to the grand opening because I was just like, yo, is this really happening?
It's really happening.
I remember Charlemagne and them reported on it, and it was just like they were surprised about it. But, you know, it would be New York City and it would be the Bronx.
Absolutely.
And there were also like, it was like 5 schools, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what are the different schools that?
I actually do. So like, you know, we were all part of a group. Like once these school proposals went in, and then like they selected the leaders, then we kind of worked on actually building up the blueprints for the schools, right? So you know, we had like a fellowship, and we were working together. So we have, you know, our school, 2 schools in Queens. One is a District 75 school. 2 elementary schools are opening, and then there's another District 75 school opening in the Bronx as well. Innovative like spaces for kids. Like, you know, New York City public schools are, you know, they are really trying to make sure that we are like really keeping in mind our communities, our children, and that we are not like kind of like falling behind the 8 ball here. You got to be innovative, right? Like, you know, you guys know that more than anybody, right? Like innovation is important, and giving the best learning experiences for all children, for every child is important, right? So, you know, I'm happy to see that these schools that are opening. I mean, you know, obviously the Bronx School of Hip Hop, like that's like powerful wording just in the name, right? But like all these schools are gonna be like amazing.
The Bronx School of Hip Hop, you already accepted who's going to be in it? Applications are closed. What's the status?
So applications are not closed, right? We have a wait list right now.
Okay. How big is this wait list? I want to know.
So,
because I know it's gonna be a big ass number.
It's a lot of kids on the wait list. I don't know the actual number, but it's definitely over like 500 students that we've had on the wait list.
Beautiful.
Offers were extended. You know, we're like accepting students, but like families can still apply.
How do you pick the students?
So it's open enrollment, which is great, right?
Okay.
There's no like screening process or anything like that.
I like that.
Kids can apply from all over New York City. You don't have to live in the Bronx.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah, so we have applicants that have applied from Staten Island, from Queens.
That's
right?
what's up. You just got to bring your ass on the train.
Exactly, right? But when you, you know, so New York City has a system, a platform where the high school application they go on, it's called My Schools. When it's that time of the school year for 8th graders, they go and they apply to the schools that they want to go to. My school is now a part of that application process. We weren't initially because the school wasn't like, it didn't get announced till after that process, but then they gave us like a little short window for kids to apply. So, you know, we already like are filling up those seats.
You have your building, everything is in place?
So yeah, we're going to be at 1600 Webster Avenue in the Bronx, which is right on Webster and Claremont. For those who know, it's a great place. And super excited about what's about to happen in that building.
I'm excited too, and I'm not even part of it.
No, you a part of it. This is for the culture.
I mean, you know what I mean. I'm not going to be there every day with the kids, but I know that, you know, some dope stuff is going to go down inside that building. And, you know, thank you for leading. And, you know, thanks for, you know, poniendo la bandera en alto. You know what I'm saying? Waving that Puerto Rican flag and, you know, never dimming your light as a person from the Bronx, as a Boricua. It's important. It's important that, you know, we take part in these things and that we also, you know, make it known.
Absolutely.
This is where I'm from.
Yeah.
This is also part of me, my culture, my DNA, and who I am.
Yes. I mean, my aunt used to say, "Hay que echar pa'lante."
Oh, claro que sí.
So, you know, like that was always at the like forefront of everything. It's like you got to keep going. Like it's never like keep going, keep going, keep going. You know.
Did you have a moment that you were like, I can't do this no more? We all have those dark moments that we're like, yo, I feel crushed.
Specifically to like what I do in education, no, I've never felt like I really am passionate about this. Obviously, like
just
you know,
in life in general,
life can be very daunting. You know,
it can.
But
because you are somebody outside of education, and I asked that question because you know a lot of the times we identify with what we do for a living, but there's so much more to who we are as individuals outside of our workspace. That's why I asked, like, did you ever have, you know, a moment that you're like, yo, I don't think I'm gonna make it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you lose your parents very young, right? Like,
how old were you?
When I lost my mom, I was 14 years old.
Oh, so you remember? Okay.
Yeah, and then I lost my dad 2 years later at 16 years old.
That must have been a dark period for you as a teen.
And it's just like, you know, I just remember going to school and nobody asking me if I was okay, right? Like that wasn't a thing at the school I went to, right? So like I remember that, like that's when you don't humanize children, right? So like as an educator, it's like those kids come in with stories and some of them are not going through those things, but everybody got some that they're probably dealing with. We got to make sure that we tap into who kids are first before we ask them to like perform in the classroom.
That's true, you know, because I remember I lost my father when I was 15, and it's like, I remember him passing, and I remember the funeral, and then I just went to school. There was no therapy. There was no, you know, how are you feeling? It was just like, okay, sit here, be good, don't act out. And you're processing this grief, and you're feeling like, oh, my dad died. And like, I feel like crying thinking about it right now, because it's just like, and then you have to show up and do math and do history and do English and read out loud, and you're like, my father's dead.
Yeah. And nobody asks you, right? Like, you know, and
I can totally relate.
You got to deal with that. And you know, I would say like that is the progression of education, especially in New York City public schools, like, you know, really leaning into like making sure that social emotional learning is just as important as, you know, any academic endeavors that a school takes on, right?
As it should be.
Yeah.
Now let's talk happy stuff.
Okay.
Let's talk hip hop.
Let's talk hip hop.
Let's talk your top five. Talk to me, and they gotta be New Yorkers. Don't you dare go over to the West Coast. Come on.
They all New Yorkers.
It better be.
They all
Come
New
on.
Yorkers.
I'm about to fully judge you. Hold on. Let me cross my legs.
All right. So you want me to start at 5 and go to 1?
No. They don't have to be in any particular order. Let's just talk hip hop.
Okay. So if
and the room is open. If anybody has opinions, if anybody want to jump in.
Jump in.
Come on.
I'll give you the GOAT for me.
Who to go?
Nasir.
Okay. All right.
You know, Nas, he kind of embodies just black excellence. You know, someone that like is really about the culture and continues to push and is still making music at a high level, right? Like, you know, we talk about lyricism, like there's like none that to me has come as close. So Nas will always be my number one.
And he cute. Go ahead. Continue.
And then I have at 2, I fluctuate between Hova and Big. I give it to Jay-Z a little more because he has a bigger body of work. You know,
we lost Big young.
Exactly. But his impact on the game is huge. Like, you know, those 2 albums are like
enough,
you know, for you to say like this is one of the greats.
Mm-hmm.
Then I gotta bring it to the Bronx.
Please do so.
You know, I gotta go with KRS-One. The teacher.
Oh, you surprised me with that one.
You know, you know, KRS-One is you know, he's foundational in not only like hip hop as music, but as culture, and then also as education and knowledge.
All of that. He is a gentleman. He's just a scholar. He's an MC. He's just everything.
He's still out there like
100%
making it happen. You know, peace to the teacher, absolutely. And then you know, Big Pun.
There you go. There you go. That's what I was waiting on.
Come on, you know, Big
Christopher
Pun.
Rios.
You know, and we lost him way too soon as well.
Too soon.
You know, I think that his ability to not only like his flow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but what he's saying within that tight amount of space is like probably second to none, right? Like, you know, I mean, you can tell you got that Cool G rap influence in there, but like he took it to the next level. Big Pun is always gonna be in that top tier of, and sometimes I'll be looking at these lists and I'm like, why Pun ain't in
Where's Pun, right?
Like, why they got him like at 15? Like, what's going on? Like,
You remember
know,
the first time you heard Pun rap?
I did. It was on the Beat Nuts.
Mm-hmm.
What's that joint?
Come on, Mr. DJ.
The book, yeah. Oh, that's when I first heard him, and then that's when Napster was around. I was like, yo, I need to go do some digging and start finding the underground joints. And I was in college at the time, so like, then the album dropped and everybody went crazy with that one. And I was like an aspiring MC at the time. I was like, yo, I got to get in front of Pun or Fat Joe or one of them. And
You were like, somebody need to sign
somebody
me.
need to sign me, but yeah, like that. Those are definitely foundational for me. Is New York City. I call it the golden era, right? Like right around that era of like hip hop. And then we got some newer artists, right? Like that are starting to get hot. I'm kind of like excited to see what kind of like art and students are gonna make coming out of the school. Like how they gonna lean into, because they're gonna be learning a lot of just kind of like historical stuff around hip hop as well, to give them some more conscious understanding of like responsible creativity.
That's a good one.
And we want kids to understand like there's power behind what you say and what you put out on YouTube, right? Like there's a consequence that may happen by some of the things you might be saying that lead to real life things in the community. So like a lot of times, like with this generation, they have a different. It's not like when before we was buying records, right? Like now everything is like streams and like you're trying to get like views on YouTube, right? Like that's the currency right now.
Trying to go viral,
and
trying to
going
get
viral.
comments, yeah.
And sometimes, like at a young age, you are like, oh, if I say something super provocative, I might get those views that I'm trying to get.
Yeah.
And so that responsibility to say something, but also to say something that has value for your community is definitely big at the Bronx School of Hip Hop. Like that social justice aspect of understanding, like you have something to say, but you also have something, like you have a responsibility to your community to uplift it.
You do, because we have a lot of Bronx drill artists who are currently incarcerated, and we're so talented and had such bright futures, and either we lost them or they're in jail. And I'm like, what happened here?
Very sad. Actually, when I was a teacher at middle school 151, one of those kids that became like he was a big drill rapper in the Bronx. He started to get big, and I was proud of the fact that he was like, uplifting himself. But it was sad to see, like, I think he ended up getting incarcerated as well. But like,
I hate it. I hate
it's
that
just a
happened.
sad thing.
I hated it. And it was Black, it was Latinos, and I just felt like this could be something big and this can go worldwide. And it still can.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, saying provocative things, glorifying the wrong cultures, it kind of like put a negative, stigma on the genre, but they've definitely made a lot of, stars.
Yeah, you got like when you look at that, it gets incentivized by like the views, right? So like if I get 1 million views,
forget about it.
like, and if I say this, it's gonna, more people will come and see it. So the goal is to, like, students have to understand, like, all right, like, what is the consequence when you do that, right? Like, yeah, you might get 2 million views and like, yeah, you feel like you're super popular and people like, but like, what are you saying about your neighborhood, who you are as a Black or brown person in New York City or in America?
I love
right?
this.
Like, how is that being perceived by people that are not necessarily from your neighborhood?
Thank
right?
you.
Like, students are not that they don't get that, but they don't have enough conversations around that. And maybe we get more conscious type, like, hip hop coming out of youth culture as well.
100%, because it's global. And, sometimes we think, oh, it's going to stay in my hood. No, it's not going to stay in your hood. It's going to travel far and wide. You're going to put it on YouTube, Japan's going to consume it.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Germany, Ecuador, everybody's going to consume it.
Yes.
I love this. I love, what you're doing here. And I love that, we're finally taking leadership of, I guess, kids in a young space and building responsible MCs and, rappers and, DJs that understand, we got to be responsible for what we create.
Absolutely.
And how it impacts others.
Absolutely.
Help youth discover their voice, their brilliance, and build legacy. I was reading on you and I was like, this is his mission. You're doing it. You're helping our youth. You're going to be helping them discover their voice, their brilliance, and they're going to build their legacy all under your umbrella.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely,
I know there's more people. I know there's more people.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
keep
And,
I
and
keep trying to bring it back to you.
I
It's like,
appreciate that, but it's just like, it's like, to me, like, because I love the culture so much, it's important that, the, like, that foundation that has existed as hip hop, as just kind of like, I remember listening to Self Destruction as a young kid and really like, wow, this is like powerful stuff, and then like, understanding like this is part of like our people that are in poverty and people that feel like they're oppressed, like have this an outlet to like let some of that out and also like make the world know, right? So like, we still faced with some of those things, and especially in the hood, right? Like, so like
we are.
we want the kids to understand, like, yo, like like this music that you love, like, you is also like you have to utilize your voice to make change, and that is part of education, right? So understanding the business side of hip hop, and knowing that there's like hundreds of different job opportunities outside of just being an MC. Right? You got engineers, you got podcasters, influencers, you have like graphic designers, fashion labelers, like all of that exists within the culture, and we want students to really like understand, like, you don't even have to be into rap to
You
go
don't.
to this
You
school.
don't.
Like this school will give you kind of like just knowledge of self, how you exist in the world, right? And then like the power of how you motivate and move inside different spaces, right? That like you've had to navigate going to board meetings, and then like like having that understanding of how to show up is a skill.
Oh no, 100%. Being able to sit in those meetings, with the suits. And one thing I say all the time is when I walk into those rooms, they don't understand my experience the way I understand when I speak, as a woman of color, as a hip hop head, as a Latina, as a New Yorker. A lot of these people are transplants. They're not even from New York. They don't understand the experience. Your voice matters. Your experiences matter. And sometimes, we feel I've been oppressed. I've had disadvantages. But when you get into these rooms, you get to speak for so many people. The way me and you, we can speak for, children of immigrants. Yeah. Children who lost their parents, Latinos who love hip hop. Like, you have to really lean into and tap into all those experiences. And instead of seeing them as hindrances or handicaps, hell no, that's my superpower.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When I flew out to Procter and Gamble to pitch for multicultural dollar, I was like, yeah, y'all know what the hell I know. And, I was just, I was pitching and I was talking to them and they loved it because they didn't know it.
Yeah.
And it also allows us to show people how to handle us, the things we like, the labels we don't like, how they should not address us, how they should not treat us. And I could go on about this forever because that's one of my missions, to show people who we are and how you're going to treat us.
Absolutely.
As minorities, as Latinos, as people of inner cities, we're just as educated. We're just as important. And our spending dollar matters.
Yes.
Trust me, don't you say we don't matter. We matter.
We definitely
matter
do.
out here.
We definitely do.
And you're going to put these kids out there, feeling the way we feel right now, but from an earlier age. Because, it took me a long time to get here.
Yeah.
At some point, as a child, I felt like, I'm a Hispanic, I'm a Latina, my parents are immigrants, my mom doesn't speak English. Not no more. Not no more. That's a superpower for me now, I feel like.
I agree with you. I mean, I think having the ability to, like, one, navigate, like, growing up in certain situations, under certain conditions, that most, like, you don't get that experience going, like, that's life experience that is, like, untapped, right? So when you step into some of these business meetings and you show up, as a Latina that grew up, and understanding this dynamic of life, you can speak to things that other people can't speak
100%.
to, right? So, like, that is a superpower. And that is something that when we are, like, talking to young people, that they sometimes kind of, like, shy away from because, like, too often, right, like, school is like, no, like, you got to be this way, right? Like, so, like, we got to be careful with how we ask students to take off who they are when they step into school, right? Like, imagine that. Like, you can't be yourself in school where you spend most of the time.
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's oppression.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I really want to thank you, Jason. I respect you. I admire what you do. And I thank you for your leadership. And, you are doing God's work here. You'll be here, shaping the future. Because we're here now, we're going to be gone tomorrow. But those kids, 20, 30, 40 years from now, they're the ones that are going to be running this world.
Legacy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate you. And
Thank you. Thank you. It's been an honor.
Gracias. Come again. Once the school opens, I want you back here with some kids.